There was quite a ruckus in Arizona recently when the legislature passed a bill, later vetoed by that state's Republican governor, allowing businesses to refuse service to any customer based on the owner's religious beliefs. Protests ensued across the land, from people calling the law nothing more than permission for businesses to discriminate against gay people. That bill came on the heels of a case which may be heard by the Supreme Court, in which a photographer refused to photograph a gay wedding because of the photographer's Christian beliefs. Not as well known was the reverse, a case 2 years ago in which a hairdresser refused to serve the New Mexico governor because of that governor's opposition to legalizing gay marriage. So, should we pass a new law to deal with that man's bigotry? Did people march in the streets to try and get him fired, evicted, or shunned? Of course not. Instead, the hairdresser received what he called an outpouring of support beyond belief and from as far away as Hong Kong. The hairdresser is clearly at least as intolerant of others' views on the issue of homosexual marriage as the photographer. But the left's reaction to Arizona's legislation to guarantee that religious Arizonans could exercise their religious liberty in declining to do business with certain people shows they are not willing to extend to others the tolerance and respect they demand for themselves. Why is it that leftists will not support the same level of respect for those they disagree with on political questions? Why must the photographer who declined to take photos at a gay wedding risk losing her business when the hairdresser was lifted onto a pedestal? Both of these individuals should be permitted by law to do business with anyone, and also to refuse to do business with anyone. Freedom of association includes freedom from association and must be included in commercial as well as non-commercial activities if it's to have any real meaning in our lives. Should, for example, a Jewish tattoo artist be required to inscribe a giant swastika on the arm of a neo-Nazi? Should a gay florist be required to serve people from a church that is publicly contemptuous of gay people? If these issues were not having to do with commercial activity, there'd be no question the actors could refuse to associate with anyone. There is, however, a disturbing problem with the current law where simply because money is exchanged for the association, it becomes somehow appropriate for government to intervene. Let's remember that the problem with the old Jim Crow laws of days gone by in the South was that they were laws, not the policies of individuals or corporations. Those laws actually prohibited white people from voluntary association and dealings with black people. The Supreme Court actually upheld the law in the famous case of Plessy versus Ferguson, and it wasn't until many years later that a new court reversed course in the case of Brown versus Board of Education. The choice here is clear. Do we want a society in which government is involved in all decisions on association and those in power get to decide what the rules are? Or the messy reality of freedom where feelings may be hurt and people may be frustrated with some of their prospective wedding vendors, but people are free to choose with whom they do and do not want to associate?